Hello and welcome to the Hungaroring just outside the capital city of Budapest in a beautiful wooded valley. This home of the Hungarian Grand Prix now for over 20 years has been a little bit dull, grey and overcast all weekend. Friday was dry, Saturday dry qualifying, but it got very wet during the day. And looks as though it is just about to start raining as we get ready for the start of the first of two races here this weekend for the World Touring Car Championship. Well, Thursday was May Day, the 1st of May, always a big holiday here. Lots going on in the heart of Budapest, and joining in the festivities, one David Coulthard, and close to every fan's heart, one Norbert Mikelish. Norby, one of the highlights of the parade of wheels. Loads of the touring cars going down to join in the fun on the city streets, making everybody think, ooh, a street race round Budapest. Now that would be entertaining. It's a beautiful city, lots to see and do by day and by night. And of course, Budapest, historically separated, two cities, Buda and Pest, separated by the River Danube. And stunning interior and exteriors to some of the buildings around the old part of town. Well, Norby drawing huge crowds to the Hungaroring. He is the single biggest sporting star in this country. And Norbert Mikelish out on track once more. The air horns have been a cacophony since 7 o'clock this morning. Good morning, everybody. Martin Haven, and alongside me, multiple British touring car champion Matt Neal in the booth. And Matt, there's something very special about coming to this place because of the Norby mania.
That's right, Martin. It's just the fans, they go absolutely ballistic every time. It's from our commentary booth, which is above the main grandstands. Every time Michelitz drives past, you cannot hear yourself think or even talk even. So it's amazing. They certainly get behind it, and they do like their air horns here.
They do like an air horn or two, and actually the Norby mania also extends to all the other Hungarians racing in things like the European Touring Car Cup.
For the start of race one, what are your emotions and feelings going towards this first race?
It's amazing. I mean, just take a look in front what's happening. I was not expecting this amount of people because of the weather, but we are a lot also this year, and the atmosphere is just amazing. And we also have some interesting part because the rain is started to fall just right away. So I really don't know what to expect from the first race.
Will you be thinking about race two all the way through that first race?
To be honest, I think I will do everything like I used to in the first race. I don't want to be too careful because if I was too careful in the past, something always happens. So I just want to take it normal and then see what happens.
Have a great afternoon.
Thanks a lot.
Well, that was Ben talking to Norby just a few minutes before the cars left the pit lane, and you saw him trying to bring some heat into the tyres on what has been declared a wet track. Not just stating the bleeding obvious, but what it actually means is that if there is more rain, then the race will not be red flagged for rain, because the teams have had the option to start on a wet weather tyre. Now, I've got to try and remind myself of the rules, whether when it's declared a wet race you can start on a wet, or whether you must start on a wet. What you can no longer do, as far as I can remember, and certainly unless that's changed, is do a Tom Coronel, which is have wets on one end and slicks on the other. So we'll wait and see what the answer is on the grid. Alex Legui and Ben Constanduros will be down there.
Actually start, it means tyres are free. You can start on whatever you want. And I thought they could still mix them with axles.
I remember
whether they'd want
a year or two ago, couldn't. Well, let's hear from Lada Sport boss Viktor Shapovalov.
Victor, really sad to see James Thompson's Lada in the box, not racing this weekend. Tell us exactly what the problem is.
The problem is something with the health, with the teeth. He feel not good all weekend. Was difficult to drive the car, and he tried maximum, but then in the end, we spoke with him. He said that I can't do this because it's really a big pain, and so today he missed the event.
And I understand you're here on Tuesday testing other drivers. Will we see one of those in the car for the Nordschleife?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, yes.
And when will we see James back in the car?
I don't know today. Today I don't have information from him, so we'll see first days of next week. So we'll see.
Thanks very much.
Well, very disappointing news for British fans and for Jimmy himself. James Thompson, as you heard from Viktor Shapovalov, has gone back home to Ibiza to have an abscess lanced in his teeth. So that's an extraordinarily painful toothache to have, and so Jimmy won't be racing here today. Rob Huff will, and Huff was quick in qualifying, and if it gets wet and stays wet, the Lada could be very entertaining indeed. What's going on with that? Through our grid comes one of the Citroens as we check out Mikhail Kozlowski for Lada. He will start in 15th place on the grid. No start for James Thompson. His car's been withdrawn, which moves Kozlowski up one, moves Tarquini up one, moves Grégoire de Moustier and John Philippi up one each as well. So they all move forward a little spot. Kozlowski starts in 15th, de Moustier in 14th place. The Craft Bamboo team running this youngster. And looking around at the car today, just really admiring the new aero package that RML have produced for this car. Stuart Cowie's here, who's in charge of the development at RML, and I was chatting to him again this morning, and there is still more stuff in the pipeline coming on stream for these Chevys, but of course it's not all free, Matt, so not every Chevrolet you'll see has got all the updates on it.
That's right. I mean, a lot of all the Chevys now, they're having to come with, each team is having to find their own private funding to back the programs, and that's, you know, but it's not a cheap. This new TC1 formula isn't cheap, and development isn't cheap. So there's only two of the Chevrolets, I think, running the new engine upgrade,
yeah,
which is a significant upgrade, which is
Tom Chilton and Hugo Vallant.
Correct.
And Vallant is on the front row of the grid with it. Now, and you know, this is only his third year in the championship, and he's up against, you know, Muller and Loeb and Lopez and stuff in the factory Citroens, and they're spending 30 mil a year. You know, that's not a bad job, is it?
Having Vallant on the front of the grid is absolutely fantastic for us to watch, because he's a proper loose cannon on deck. He has nothing to lose. He doesn't care about the championship. He wants results.
Yep.
And Muller and Lopez need to score good points, solid points every time out. And Vallant's got nothing to lose, and I can see him just going hell for leather into the turn 1 and 2, and with nothing to lose.
So Stefano D'Aste, 12th place for the Italian, 11th place for Mehdi Benani. Now his Citroen, we understand, is the same spec as the other 4 Total Racing Citroens. It's been run by Sebastian Loeb Racing in the garage right beside the other 4 factory cars. So it's certainly close enough to be able to get all the bits it needs. And he has also got the magic handle for starting the car, which Citroen refused to acknowledge the existence of or the purpose of.
Well, he's got the magic handle which appeared in Morocco, which the factory cars have now moved on from again. So he's almost up to date.
They've changed it a little bit, haven't they? And we found out clearly in Morocco that the magic lever does absolutely nothing, because all the Citroens made rubbish starts, despite having had some new trickery. Lots of support for Norbert Mikelic, of course, in 10th place on the grid. And we talked about this yesterday in qualifying, the number of times that Norby's had a race 2 pole here, 2 or 3 times at least, and then had dramas in race 1. And again, you heard him earlier talking to Ben Constangiris saying, I'm not going to try and be cautious. That's always backfired. I'm just going to drive race 1 like race 2 isn't there. And that's the way he's got to do it. Not be insane, but just race normally, because Matt, if you start trying to second guess where damage is coming from, it's going to catch you out.
Yeah, the problem is if, you know, when we can see a few spots on the windshield of Chilton's Chevy there, so it's the unknown of the level of grip, because, you know, one, we've got quite a long start-finish straight or run down to turn one, and they're going to be going a fair old lick into there. It's a big braking area. When they're all bunched up, anything can happen. As you say, if Michelitz is too defensive, someone's just going to run in the back of him.
Yep.
And he needs his car in one piece for race 2. So a little bit's going to be an element in that mid-pack. It's the killing zone. You know, you need, as they call it in Formula 1, the carbon zone.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, you need an element of luck as well as everything else to get through that first couple of laps. You know, Hungaroring is notoriously hard to overtake on, so people are going to want to make the opportunity when they can, which is the first lap, really.
Former world champion Rob Huff will line up in 7th place in the best of the Lada Vestas, ahead of Tom Coronel in 8th in his Rowan Motorsports Chevrolet, and his teammate Tom Chilton in 9th place on the grid. And Chilton saying earlier on that they've just spent the whole morning getting the car in full dry setup, and now it's started to drizzle, and it's apparently a major change in the Chevrolet to go from dry to wet. But in this weather, even if you do start on wet weather tyres, you're going to have to live with the setup you've got. Thiago Montero, 6th place on the grid. Gabriele Tarquini was very fast in the wet free practice. In fact, in the second of the 2 periods, only one car, and that was Jose Maria Lopez in the Citroen, was faster than Tarquini and Montero. They were 2nd and 3rd quickest. And the new Type R bodywork that the Honda Civic has got this weekend, extended nose with a bigger front splitter, more aggressive aero, more rear wing aero, they believe is quite a big step forward in terms of downforce and grip. But, still, they've got to learn that package and maximise it. And again, we talked to Thiago this morning, didn't we, Matt? And he was saying the initial turn-in is good, but mid-corner, too much rear grip, and that's leading to exit understeer, which is the very last thing you need on a circuit like this.
I mean, whatever it handles like, that new Honda kit they've got on there just looks exquisite.
Looks the biz, definitely.
And it's lengthened, it's moved the overall length of the car. They've lengthened the car by 50 mil now. That's 2 inches.
Okay.
That's an incredible amount. But they've run all the new rear floor, the way the exhaust's piped out the back. It's a complete redesign. So they are going to have to learn that package, learn the weaknesses of it, learn the strengths of it, and try and exploit it, because they work a lot like we do in the British cars. They work a lot with a 4-wheel steer, which is a bump steer system. And so as the wheel goes up into the arch, it will steer. You know, you're talking minuscule amounts, but it makes a massive, massive difference on corner apex speed, and also tyre wear.
Well, there is your championship leader, Jose Maria Lopez. 2 pole positions so far this season, and failed to get the fastest lap in yesterday's Q3 period. Quing Hua Ma's teammate starts in 5th, Sebastian Loeb in 4th, Lopez in 3rd. So 4 Citroën C-Élysées in the top 5, and there is the fly in Citroën's ointment. Not Alex out the back, I meant Hugo Vallant here in the middle.
Yeah, we're watching you, Hugo. Behave yourself.
Well, everybody will be watching him. Interestingly, he was due to have a 5-place grid drop because he was reported for yellow flag infringements. The team then went to the stewards with onboard GoPro footage and said, no, look, he did slow down for the yellow flag. The lap before, he'd been bedding in brakes, so it was much slower than the lap on which the alleged offence. Okay. So they said, oh, yeah, you did slow down. Oh, but by the way, here's a €1,000 fine for an illegal camera in the car. But he got his front row grid start, which is what he wanted.
If I could be moved up the grid for 1,000 every time, I'd pay it, I guess.
Well, it wasn't moved up, it was just negating a penalty. Yeah,
10 grand, you'd be on pole.
If you could wriggle out of a penalty for £1,000, you'd be happy. Ivan Muller, though, does start on the DHL pole ahead of Hugo Vallant. So we had Muller, Vallant, Loeb, all 3 French speakers watching as Lopez went out to the final run in Q3 to try and get to the pole and not make it. Lopez starts 3rd, but it is Ivan Muller on his first pole of the season. Let's hear from him now.
Ivan, must be very nice to have a clear view ahead of you. First time since Spa last year.
Yeah, absolutely, but Spa was not that far. It's always important to be on pole position. It's better than to be behind, but the bigger part of the weekend is to be done now.
And what about the car to your right-hand side?
It will be tough to keep him behind because he's fast. He knows his car, he's light, 60 kilo light. We will struggle with the tire quite quickly because the overweight, but we'll see. I will do my best.
Thank you very much, Matt. Have a good race.
Thank you.
Well, that's the other change that we haven't quite touched on yet, Matt, is that the Citroën C-Élysées are now all 60 kilos heavier than all their rivals, and that could have an effect as well. Well, let's hear from Hugo Vallant. He's with Alex Legui.
Well, Hugo, you were due to have 5-place penalty, but you're not. You're up here, second. What's your strategy into that first corner?
We'll see after the start. You know, the first few meters will tell what position I will be around the first corner. Ivan chose to be on the best side in terms of cleanness, I would say. So I'm on the dirty side of the track, but then again I have the inside over there. I'll definitely try and overtake him if I have the chance to. I'm not here to defend my position compared to the other guys. I want to get in front, and that's what we're going to try and do.
And how much are you going to be thinking about these two champs behind you?
Well, I feel more comfortable having them behind me than some other drivers. So those guys know what they do, and they're consistent on track, and they don't make silly mistakes. So that'll be tough to keep them behind because they know their way past people, but I'm gonna try and pass this guy.
Power's on, Hugo.
So the tactics for Vallant, he's not going to be the world champion because there are 5 Citroëns. So he wants to win races. He wants to win this race. He wants to beat Ivan. Behind him, Loeb, second in the championship, and Lopez, the points leader, don't actually need to get by Vallant, because even if Muller wins, he's only get a few points back, so they can be very relaxed about it. Muller here is the man up. Hugo Vallant on the front row of the grid for Campos Racing in his Chevrolet. And the DHL pole sitter who will lead the field round here for the first race at the Hungaroring is Ivan Muller in the Citroën C-Élysées. With a constant barrage of air horns in the background, you can hear the grandstands are very busy. And they're not quite full. There's a lot of food courts out behind us as we sit in our commentary position over the grandstands. They've been doing a roaring trade. But Ivan Muller, Matt Neal has to make this work. He has to get the points. He must not lose more points to Lopez and Loeb, who start on row 2.
Yeah, as I said before, Vallant is going to have a big influence. If I could get down Ladbrokes now, I think I'd put some money on him into driving into one of the Citroëns. I think it's, you know, and then we got these flash points on the grid. Huff's a fast starter, very aggressive. Benani, he knows he's back from the other Citroëns, and he's been pretty aggressive in the opening couple of rounds, so he's going to be wanting to push it forward, but he's heavy as well. Tarquini on the back. Yep. Nothing to lose. He's going to be starting on the back row both races. He's fast and he can be very, very aggressive. And he really starts well. His getaways are legendary. So yeah, he could be very entertaining. And of course for the crowd, yeah, okay, Muller, Vallant, whatever, Norby. It's that black and red car on the bottom right of your screen. That's the one they'll be focused on, because there's not just one race here, there are 2. And in race 2, it'll be Norbert Mikelic on pole position. So if his car gets damaged, suddenly race 1 becomes a major drama. What have we said before? Run into Norby at your peril. Yeah. Because you won't get out the circuit with all these cars.
Go straight to the airport if you can. Oh, very slow away there is Qinghua Ma.
They'll be checking all the biting points on the clutches and making sure everything's warm enough.
Using their fancy new secret lever.
Well, they've all got start systems of everybody up and down the grid. I mean, Citroën are just trying to be a bit too secretive about the systems they've got in place. wonder if they've told the drivers about them yet.
Oh yeah, the drivers all know about them. They're just not allowed to tell anybody else that they exist or admit what they do. So, Phil being led around by Ivan Muller. No sign of any spots of rain at the moment. Had a little bit of drizzle at the end of the previous race for AutoGP. But looks as though it's pretty dry. Let's get a feeling for it from the local hero, Norbert Mikelic in his Honda on the formation lap.
Hello everyone, I hope you had a nice lunch and now are excited in front of your television to watch the first of today's two races in the WTCC on the Hungaroring. We have quite difficult conditions because the rain just started to stop falling. The track is still a little bit slippery. Starting today the first race from 10th position. I will do my best to have a perfect start and to gain some places right away. Of course I have to tell you we have an amazing atmosphere once again. A lot of Hungarian fans supporting us, so I will do my best and hold your fingers crossed please for me.
Always fingers crossed for all these guys. Nobody's here just to make up the numbers. They all want to compete, and I'm sure, as well as delighting in the support, he feels the pressure a little to perform for the crowd, because there is so much fervent Hungarian support here for Norbert Mikelic and for this Zengo Motorsport team. Hungarian team, all Hungarian crew, Hungarian driver. It's like their national squad.
Yeah, he was very nice and calm and composed in the car, considering, you know, they are having to make sure they're getting certain things warm. And just see behind the gear lever here are the two. One's the big handbrake, and then there's an extra lever there, which Citroen have been pretty secretive about. It'd be nice to get a glimpse of what he's doing at the start on that.
Yeah, well, it does work on the clutch system. So the clutch has a normal clutch pedal, but it also has that extra mechanical bit. See the little extra lever on the Honda there. Now, see Gabriele Tarquini using it as he goes through. What's that one doing?
Yeah, that one's it's a 6-speed sequential they run, but it gates out. You see there's one same on the Lada here for her feet, and that basically selects neutral at the back, or
little Shimano brake lever.
Once you get neutral, again, if you want to go reverse, you pull the lever and just push it forward one again.
So there's Ivan holding both levers, so he's got the clutch where he wants it. His foot will be modulating the throttle.
If that's on his clutch, he's engaged it very, very early.
So our pole sitter is Ivan Muller, ready for round 5 of the 2015 FIA World Touring Car Championship, and away we go. Why have we got another green flag lap? Start has been aborted for some reason.
That's interesting, unless it started raining over the back of the grid or something, back of the circuit.
Well, this is most unusual to have an extra formation lap, and normally the reason would be that the lighting gantry is not working. If somebody's not on the grid, tough luck. If somebody's car stalls, then you get yellow lights and not another green flag lap.
And normally if the lights fail, you start with the national flag.
Yeah, but only once you've sent everybody off again and come back, and then they understand that it will be another flag. Now,
well, someone running over to the grandstand to nick one of the thousands.
Hopefully race control will have told the teams what's going on, and in the fullness of time, maybe they'll tell the television as well. Well, let's hear from Rob Huff and see if he knows anything.
Not too far forward. There's an extra grid spot further up, so I'm not sure if he's going to get a penalty for that in the race. But yeah, he just quite a simple thing to do, although I have to say I've never seen it done myself. But let's give it an extra formation lap. Uses a bit more fuel, uses a bit more tyre. Obviously got to keep the heat and everything, but without overcooking the brakes without destroying the tyre too much. And, all through the start procedure again. So see if we can get it right this time, boys.
So Van Muller brings the field once more to the grid. Race distance reduced from 14 to 13 laps because they've now burned off, not quite a lap of fuel, but you know what I mean. Hugo Vallant will be alongside, and there was confusion between Lopez and Loeb. Lopez, I think, on the wrong side of the grid, and there was definitely an empty spot behind Hugo Vallant, so somewhere in the Lopez-Loeb-Mar trio of Citroens, it didn't go well. Obviously, if we go now to Citroën, they'll explain that the rule is wrong in the same way that Mar missing qualifying was a bad rule, but there may well be a penalty to pay for that. Red lights are on, and away we go. Good start from Van Muller, good start from Hugo Vallant. And Lopez is on the inside. He's looking down the inside of Muller, and he's got a really good run. Matt Neal, he's going to take the lead away from the poleman into the first turn, and that is exactly what Muller did not need.
Lopez made a fantastic start getting the power down, and he's jumped the pair of them, but Volante is definitely going to be on the attack now.
And was that Mar that went out wide? It was, after a touch from Lopez. Vallant looked like he was down into fifth. The other two Citroens touched. Muller goes around the outside, and Vallant is going to be right in there as well. Thiago Montero goes by Sebastian Loeb. Norbert Michaelis goes by Tom Coronel. And where has Tarquini got to? Well, he's only one car further up. And Vallant made a decent start, but Lopez made the best, and he has held on to the lead. So it's Lopez, Muller, Vallant, and then the 33 car of Mar, and Montero got by Sebastian Loeb for fifth place.
It seemed Muller made a good start, went to the inside to cover Vallant, and then just took his eye off the ball, and Lopez just got in there and jumped him. It was the second phase of the start where you really seemed to get the power going.
Yeah.
Now Muller needs to shake off Vallant and get his head down to see if he can put Lopez under pressure, because if he gives him fresh air, the Argentinian will just be gone.
Tarquini, fastest man in the first sector on lap 1. Lopez, fastest in sector 2 on lap 1. So Lopez trying to pull away from Muller, as he has done so far this season from pole. And Vallant looking the man most likely to make a move. There's the Campos Racing team. They're watching that Dayglow yellow and white machine. And this new RML Chevrolet Cruze engine update means that he is losing nothing in terms of power now to Van Muller. He's just pulling away a fraction, Muller. But Vallant in the slipstream is going to make himself very annoying. Montero in 5th place in the Honda, and Norbert Michaelis in 7th place in the Honda, with Tom Chilton on the inside as Huff goes inside Coronel and takes away 9th place from the Dutchman. Vallant under pressure from Qinghua Ma down the straight, but Ma now on the twisty stuff has got the Honda all over him. That Honda of Montero really has grip. Race 1 in Hungary. Lopez leading from Muller. Battle of the black and red cars is for 7th place. Norbert Michaelis
putting a move on Michelin,
getting bumped on the inside by Tom Chilton. Now Norby went by you cleanly, Tom. There was no need to bounce your way through in corner 5.
That was a good opportunistic move, that was.
Right behind are the 2 yellow cars of Huff and Coronel. Huff got by Coronel on the start of the lap. Mehdi Benani behind them in 11th place. Don't forget he's battling Norbert Michaelis here for the Yokohama Independence Trophy. Benani leads by 1 point coming in here.
Michelitz is actually out of position for where he's been running most of the weekend. He's up to 7th place, which is after a great start and opening lap, but his outright speed has sort of been 10th, 11th, 12th all weekend, so I know Huffy's definitely got him in sights, because Huffy could have gone better in qualifying.
Yep.
And so he's definitely going to be zeroing in on the back of that Honda.
Jose Maria Lopez leads from Ivan Muller. Citroen starting to ease away now from Hugo Ballot, and down the straight, the 4th car, Qinghua Ma in his Citroen. Sebastian Loeb in 6th position, can't hold on to Thiago Montero's Honda, and Tom Chilton pulls out to show his nose. Doesn't work for him. Gabriele Tarquini has got by Stefano D'Aste, Gregoire de Moustier, John Philippi and Mikhail Kozlowski away from the start, but it's going to be a long afternoon for Tarquini from the last spot on the grid, trying to make his way through traffic. Not sure if he and Thiago will have gone on the same setup on the car. It's a Campos Racing team watching the man in 3rd place, Hugo Ballot. Looks as though whatever they've done, Thiago has got the better setup of the 2 Honda drivers.
Muller's just posted the fastest front sector of the race, so he's going to try and zero in on Lopez now by the looks.
Lopez faster by 0.06 of a second on the previous lap. There is almost nothing to choose between them. But you're right, 0.17 quicker on the first sector. Muller closing in on Lopez.
The problem he's going to encounter around here is it's a very technical section over the far end of this Hungaroring, and he will lose downforce. And these new TC1 cars, they're incredibly reliant on the aero and the downforce they can get. So and with tyre wear a factor around here, this could play into Lopez's hands. If Muller's going to do him, he's got to strike fast.
That's exactly right, before he runs out of tyre, because he will run out of tyre at a faster rate, because as you said, Lopez's car is leaving dirty air, and Muller's aerodynamics aren't helping the tyres as much as Lopez's aerodynamics are helping his tyres. So Ivan, if he's going to get by, has to do it in the first 4 or 5 laps, and we're already on to lap 3.
And unlike the British series, the weight applied to the cars is done by Mark here, so all the Citroens will be running at the same weight. All the Chevrolets, all the Hondas will be 60 kilos lighter this weekend.
Well, fastest lap that time round from Muller, but by just 6 thousandths quicker than Lopez. That's nothing like enough. He's got no speed in hand now over Lopez. He's in that half a second behind area where he's just stalled, isn't he?
Yeah, he pulls it in the 1st and the 3rd sector, and then Lopez pulls it back out in the middle sector, which is the technical part, and you are stuck at a bit of a traffic jam there.
Yeah, we heard from Ivan after qualifying saying it wasn't a perfect lap. He said a perfect lap here is almost impossible. You're either quick in sector 1 and you pay for it in sector 3, or you're not so quick in sector 1 and sector 2 and 3 go better for you. He said, but the tyre can't give you a perfect lap. This is such a high tyre wear track. Gabriele Tarquini stuck behind Mehdi Benani. Benani last year, of course, in a Honda, this year in that Citroen C-Elysée, still in the green, white and red of Morocco.
But Tarquini's definitely the man on the move. He's up to 12th so far, so he's had a cracking opening few laps.
Ivan Muller's start procedure will be investigated after race 2.
I don't think he did anything wrong, did he?
No, he was on pole, and...
Maybe it's because we've now got a camera on his lever.
Yeah, it wasn't him that was out of position, was it? Wasn't he on pole in the pole position spot? I thought the front row was okay.
I thought it was Loeb.
And there was a gap behind Vallant.
Yeah, I thought it was Sebastian Loeb who was out of position.
Well, what do we know? Certainly nothing, because nobody's telling us anything. Can't see what Muller did wrong, unless they're just going to penalise him for not being fast enough away and allowing Lopez to lead again.
Yeah, Lopez fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, 2 tenths.
So he's got his head down now, pinned his ears back.
2 tenths in hand over Muller again, added to his advantage this lap. Battle for 3rd place is entertaining, isn't it? Hugo Vallant not able to keep pace with Lopez and Muller, but again, Qinghua Ma, that Citroen in the middle of this little trio, potentially with a quicker car, just can't quite find a way to get by. And this is where the war of attrition that is the Hungaroring is really setting in. Montero in 5th in a similar position. He could probably go faster if he could actually find a way past Mar.
Yeah, if Vallon can hang on the first sort of half of the race, the Citroën is 60 kilos heavier, so it's going to be harder on its tyres. The Honda is quite a stiff car, so in theory that should be tougher on its tyres as well. So if he can hang on the first half, then the two behind him should lose their edge and drop away.
And the other advantage for Vallant, of course, is that he is running in clear air in third place, because he's about a second and a half behind Muller, so his tyres will last longer than Mar and Montero, who are both in his slipstream and in his turbulence and working their tyres harder. So
yeah, that's a very good point.
All those cards favour Vallant over Mar, unless Mar gets by soon. Huff and Coronel still ahead of Bernani and Tarquini. That's 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Grey skies overhead here at the Hungaroring. First of our two races. We haven't had a day without rain yet this weekend. Lots of rain yesterday. And then bizarrely, dry qualifying. Not quite dry enough for Gabriele Tarquini, whose car got spat off on AstroTurf on the exit of corner 2 on the very first lap. Corner 3, in fact, and into the barriers. Now down the inside of Bernani.
Oh, Bernani just runs a wee bit wide.
More in hope than anticipation of anything happening there, I think. He was just piling a bit more pressure on the Moroccan driver.
I thought Thiago was going to have a go for it, and then he just he backed out. And I think Bernani was aware he was there. It looks like he's pushed that hard, but the weight's having an effect on him.
Yeah. And Hugo Vallant in the Dayglow yellow and white Chevrolet, definitely pulling away from Mar Montero at the moment. Mar Montero, that little fourth place battle, and it's now down to those two, isn't it? Mar has dropped away from Vallant because he's under attack from Montero. He's having to defend harder. Well, that's what happens with the levers. You release them both together, releases the brake and the clutch.
There was nothing wrong with that.
No.
How did that start procedure?
I don't know. He made two moves, but then he hardly chopped Lopez. It's not like he was alongside and made contact. What I want to, well, there'll be words in the team about Loeb versus Mar in the first corner and contact and everything else. But as we've seen many times in the past, Matt, when you've got cars in a multi-car team, they tend to be at pretty much the same pace and in pretty much the same place all the time. And contact between teammates is almost more likely than between one manufacturer and another.
You know, Ivan is going to be in a proper bad mood at the end of this race. He got absolutely jumped at the start there. Yep. That was very unlike him. Normally he's super savvy in that respect. And Lopez, it was a gimme.
Well, now, was it or is it because we still have to sort out why we had an aborted start and why we had an extra formation lap and who was not where they should have been on the grid? And it was the car that was behind Hugo Vallant. So it was the car that was fourth place. Lopez was third and Loeb was fourth on the grid.
And he was one box back.
And he was in the wrong position. So Lopez, I think, is clean. And I think Loeb might be under investigation, but again, we're not hearing anything about that. It didn't say Sebastian Loeb, car 9. It said Ivan Muller, car 68. Looking back from the larder of Rob Huff to Tom Coronel. And our best wishes go to James Thompson, not racing here in the Hungaroring. Struggling with an abscess in his tooth. Had a little bit of illness because we have no Rickard Rydell either. His Nika Racing Honda is not here. He's not fit enough yet to race either. So we have to hope that he'll maybe be back for the Nordschleifer in a couple of weeks' time. Otherwise, Rickard is going to miss a big chunk of the European season.
It's a shame. I mean, you can't. It's almost hard to believe that abscess tooth on story about Tomo, because he's got lovely noshes, hasn't he? He's got a great smile.
He has indeed.
And he was in really good spirits on Saturday morning.
Yeah. He's really enjoying his time with this Lada team, you know. Okay, not a World Championship winning car, and the new Vesta has been tough work for the team to produce, but you know, he's always at pains to underline just how hard the guys in the Lada team work. as hard as anybody else, and perhaps with less budget than almost anybody else.
Thiago's and Montero's definitely bottled up behind these two, and if he could just find a way past, I think that Honda could push its way onto the podium there.
Well, as Lopez has stretched his way 2.2 seconds clear of Muller, suddenly the gap that Vallon had over Mar a lap ago has evaporated. What did Hugo do wrong that Mar and Montero have suddenly... It's not like they've worked together, because Montero's still trying to find a way past the Chinese driver's Citroën. But I think Hugo Vallon must have made a little error somewhere.
No, he's not made an error. The times are there, but the gap's been eroded. But he's definitely the cork in the bottle for these two, and especially for the Type R that's at the back of the three. Those Hondas have showed incredible pace this weekend, especially in the dry. And if the circuit, you know, the moisture in the air has just dried up a bit, maybe the circuit's coming back to its full dry running. So,
well, traditionally it does get quicker lap by lap, this track over the weekend, because it doesn't get as much use as some other tracks. They did have racing here last weekend, so slightly rubbered up. And the other thing, of course, is that Honda was very quick in FP2 in the pouring rain. They were second and third behind only Lopez. So either weather would have worked for them this weekend. Stagnation at the front of the field here at the Hungaroring. Jose Maria Lopez leads after 8 of our 14 laps. From Ivan Muller, gap out to 2.5. Lopez just taking another 3/10 away from Muller. Further back, looking at the battle of the yellow cars, Rob Huff ahead of Tom Coronel, and the yellow and white car, third place Hugo Vallon in front of Qinghua Ma and Thiago Montero, and the red, white and green Honda Civic. Matt, with its very different looking aerodynamics front and rear. You can see it particularly in the profile how much longer the nose of the car looks. I mean, you said it's 50 mil, 2 inches or so. It looks notably longer than that. It's a much pronounced different look to the front.
The Jazz Honda guys look as though they've done a fabulous job on there. Was that Mar just getting a wee bit out of shape through there? Yeah, they look as though they've done a fantastic job. I mean, the new aero looks fantastic. Awesome on the Civic.
The way Thiago closes in through corner 5. We were talking to him this morning, and he was saying that how good the car is under braking, and in the first stage of the turn into apex. He said on the way out, still got too much rear grip, and as a result they're getting understeer, wheel spin, and trying to find their way off the corner. And that's going to be part of what they need to unlock from this new package.
Yeah, I mean the Chevrolet of Coronel in this sandwich, he's not one of the lucky ones who's running the new RML engine upgrade, so he is going to be slightly shy on straight line speed, so which is going to hinder him being able to attack Huffy, and is going to leave him a little bit open to Montero.
Well, he's looking maybe at introducing a new engine. It's not a free upgrade, so first of all you've got to find the money, and Tom of course finds all his sponsors himself. But also, when you put a new engine in the car, an upgraded engine, you do have a grid penalty. And he thought, well, maybe at the Nordschleife would be the place to do it, because there, the grid, probably going to count for much less on that long track. Montero down inside. Little touch there with Mar, nothing untoward. And Mar holds on to 4th place for the moment. But again, if Vallon goes, Montero needs to get on with it, because otherwise Mar's car will get clear air. And he'll be able to preserve his tyres a little better than the Honda.
That Honda is good under braking now.
Really good. He's taking bites out of the back bumper of Mar, under braking in every turn. But we've seen before, last year and this, how good the Citroën is at putting its power down out of the corners.
Seems very good over the... Seems to be one of the best cars for riding over the curbs, doesn't it?
Well, again, you know, you get a rally team to build a racing car, they haven't forgot what they know about suspension travel and how you control body mass.
Through the technical section here, this is where Montero's going to start hurting his tyres if he's not too careful. He can't afford to drop back and give himself a little bit of air. He's got to keep Mar under pressure.
Lopez Gap out now over 3 seconds. It was 2.8 last lap, up to 3.19 on these sector times. Muller's just dropped another 0.3 in sector 2 alone. And that's where that margin is coming from. Lopez has this uncanny ability to just dial the best into his car somehow or other, whether it's setup or whether it's driver as much as anything else. It's very, very demoralizing, I'm sure, for the likes of Muller and Mar and Loeb, that Jose Maria Lopez continually, he's like the bubbles in the champagne. He always rises to the top.
He made it. We saw a very uncharacteristic mistake in qualifying in the Q3 shootout. And whether it was pressure, whether it was conditions, whatever, but it's certainly back to status quo normal and for race mode, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it did at least remind us that, yes, actually he is a human being, not some kind of automaton, because, yeah, he went wide in turn 3, ran off the road, and then again at the end of the lap, trying desperately to make up for it, ran out of road again. So
you'd almost say he's almost Schumacher-Vettel-esque.
Yep.
In when they're in their prime, they just seem to be able to almost walk on water, and that's what Lopez is doing at the moment.
He can generate the confidence that gives him the speed in the car. Now, the starting procedure we're hearing is that Ivan Muller, when he pulled up onto pole, went 1 row too far forward. Now, the front row of the grid and pole is by the white line across the track at the start. So we need to see that again.
Right, I'll tell you what it is, Martin.
Should they have started a row back?
There's 2 white lines on the grid, and they were starting from the second one, which is actually, there's 4 grid positions after the first white line, and then there's another white line, which is where the WTC were starting from.
Okay.
So Ivan is looked for the front of the grid because they don't have a flag marshal to position you like we do in the UK.
But hang on a minute, that means that the grid was formed up behind the finish line, not behind the start line.
No, the finish line is the first one.
All right, we need to have a little look at that after the end of the race and take a look again at where they were on the green lap, the grid before the green flag lap, and then where Ivan lined up for the first start.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and it's a little bit unfair on Muller, but
well, you know, the driver is responsible for finding pole. However, normally the team will make a mark somewhere on the wall so he can look alongside and judge where he is. Because when you're sitting down in the car, you can't see where the grid box is. And if you start with your wheels in front of your grid box, then you immediately get a drive-through penalty. So the teams are very aware of this. But again, is that a team driver mistake? Exactly.
So far back inside these cars.
So low, so far back.
And you look up and down the pit wall, there's dozens and dozens of markings from different drivers, so it's very, very hard to pick up.
But we've seen many times over the years, especially with the RML Chevrolet team, making absolutely certain that the driver knows where his grid spot is. Because getting a drive-through for not being in your proper grid spot, you might as well not bother showing up for the race at all.
But everyone's human.
I know, of course they are.
As Lopez was in qualifying yesterday.
Well, and you know, and as the team made a mistake with Mar by not hurrying him up.
I'll tell you what, Loeb running wide there. Maybe that weight's just.
Yeah, starting play. There's Norby having a little front end moment as well. Yeah, he's stuck behind Chilton's Chevy and running out of front end grip.
I actually thought Michelitz would drop back a bit, but he's holding a good station in 8.
Yeah.
He's sort of the car in the race is coming to him a bit, and
this is going to give him the lead in the Yokohama Trophy for the independent drivers as well over Bernani, because he's going to outscore Bernani, and so he will move into the lead of that group. Battle for third still alive. Vallant, Mar and Montero. Then behind him Loeb, kind of deflated. I wonder if that little rub with Mar has had some effect on Sebastian Loeb's car, because on pace, and he's at the front of the next queue, he should have caught Montero. He should be behind Montero all over him. But he's shown no signs of being able to go quickly enough.
Yeah, you would have thought so. You would have thought he'd have the pace over Quinquan Mar, so
Well, Lopez's fastest lap is a 50.7. Loeb's fastest lap is a 51.7. So his fastest race lap is a second off Lopez. And it's 0.6 off Muller, and it's 0.6 off, 0.3 off Marr.
Yeah, and he's a second shy of him now, and he's.
And he was on the inside, left front wheel bump Marr. Might just be that the suspension geometry has been whacked out of line by that. I mean, we know these things are built tough, and we know they spent time deliberately crashing into each other to make sure they knew what was tough and what wasn't. But all the same, things do still bend, even if they don't necessarily break. Final lap on the Nürburgring, Hungaroring, getting 2 weeks ahead of myself. Jose Maria Lopez running away with this one. Started in third place on the grid, out-dragged Ivan Muller and Hugo Vallant down to the first corner and never looked like losing the lead. Wins by over 3.5 seconds. Another win. 5 races in, Lopez has won 3 times. Muller takes second, Vallant on the podium in third, Marr in fourth, Montero fifth, Loeb, Chilton, Mikulich, and then Huff and Coronel together ahead of Tarquini in 11th place. But Jose Maria Lopez looking very happy with that. And of course, he will start in front of Ivan Muller and Hugo Vallant. 10th, 9th and 8th they will be on the race 2 grid. So he's got another opportunity in race 2 to outscore Muller once more.
Yeah, Muller will be kicking himself after that one. That is a definite opportunity missed, not just for points, but to sort of try and put a chink in, just a seed of doubt into Lopez's head.
Yeah. Stop your teammate winning all the time. Definitely. It was a missed opportunity. One, I'm sure, added to the list of days that he will rue, a missed opportunity against Lopez. Putting pressure on Muller and on Citroën. Jose Maria Lopez, win number 3 of the World Touring Car Championship season. Lopez won race 1 in Argentina, race 1 in Marrakesh, race 1 in the Hungaroring. This is starting to become a bit of a pattern, isn't it? And the team, you know, teams respond to the kind of personality so that they can go out and produce these results. You know, without him wanting to, it's going to start to gravitate the team a little bit more to him, isn't it?
He's definitely not doing his credibility any harm at the moment, is he?
No.
He's just like a clock, going out, performing every week, one after the other.
Well, he dropped a couple of points on Saturday because he failed to claim pole position. He was fastest up until that stage in every track session, didn't get the pole, so that breaks his little string. However, he has been on the podium relentlessly since he first made an appearance in Argentina in a BMW 2 years ago, and he now claims win number 3 of the season, and he is with Alex Legui.
Well, after a fantastic start, Richito, what a race. Well done.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, winning here in Hungary for the first time is special for the crowd, and yes, I knew the start was very important. We didn't have too much practice yesterday, but okay, sometimes you have to risk a little bit. I knew especially I wanted to pass Hugo because I knew it was important for me for the championship. In my plans, it was not to pass Ivan like this, but I did a great start, and then I moved to the left, then I tried to the right, and I passed Ivan. Then we had 2 corners very tight. I break both corners with the rear lock-in. We touched a little bit. It was a very nice fight again with Ivan. And
when you go and speak to Ivan in a moment, what do you think the atmosphere will be like?
No, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's amazing to be racing like this with Ivan, with the 4 world time champions. I mean, for me, it's someone to copy, and I've been learning a lot for him. And I think both we race like this. You know, as soon as we don't, of course, pass the limit and put in a bad position the team. We are here to fight. Citroën wants us to win for them, And it was, yeah, I mean, it's normal. He was outside, I was inside, he put me on pressure, and it was very tight.
Well done, Pachito. Congratulations.
Well, Matt, you know, whatever your pre-race plan is, when the lights change, you go in the gaps that open up for you, don't you? And, you know, it did open up for him because Muller was focusing on Vallant. That Dayglow yellow really had his attention. He didn't see Lopez coming up on his blind side. And then when Lopez cut back to the inside, he had the momentum and the inside line. And actually, it was clean as much as it was close.
He's just a nice guy, isn't he? I mean, yeah, Muller seemed to be, had got it set in his head that Lopez was going to the outside, and then he just switched back, and he was in.
Yep.
He just got that extra drive in the second part of the acceleration.
So Lopez wins and extends his advantage over Ivan Muller again by another few points. Sebastian Loeb, though, behind Muller. The gap now down to 6. Qinghua Ma still lying 4th in the championship. Norbert Mikulis losing points to Hugo Vallant here, who finishes in 3rd and moves up to 9th in the overall standings. Big crowd enjoying the racing here in Hungary. Round 5 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Their hero Norbert Mikulis finished in 8th place, but crucially survived the race unscathed, because he will start round 6 here from pole position. So getting ready to send our drivers out onto the podium. Cars at the moment in the pit lane below us, being refueled. 3rd place for Hugo Vallant. After qualifying 2nd, good weekend for him so far. Ivan Muller in 2nd place. And Jose Maria Lopez, our race winner again for the 3rd time this season. We will hear the Argentine national anthem.
The Argentine national anthem of the winning driver.
And for our winning manufacturer, Citroën, the French anthem.
National anthem of the winning manufacturer. Congratulations, gentlemen.
And in the background, of course, is the national anthem of Norby, the air horn chorus that is a consistent companion to the World Touring Car Championship here in the Hungaroring. Trophy presented to our 3rd place finisher, Hugo Vallant.
Mr. Garfach Ole will present the trophy for 2nd position to Ivan Muller.
Ivan, it's a tough place for Ivan Muller to be in. He's not used to being beaten frequently by teammates. He doesn't like being beaten frequently by anybody. And to be in a team that has clearly got the best car, but one which really doesn't suit you, Matt, as a driver, that must be a nightmare.
Yeah, he's been open that he just he doesn't like the car. He doesn't like the feeling in the car, and he's having to think about it. And Lopez at the moment, he's not having to think about the driving. It's just coming to him. It's easy at the moment. And Muller's just, and with lack of testing, because the cars are being flown all over the world, all they have is the simulator.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Lopez is gelling with the simulator. He's being able to transfer what he does in the simulator straight across.
And maybe what Muller likes in a racing car just doesn't work with this either current brand of car or with this Citroen. So, yeah, I mean, that's...
Well, for sure, when in the British Series, when we moved to the 18-inch tyre, it meant you could be much more aggressive with your throttle input, with your braking, with your, you know, just how you are with the car. So, and maybe Muller's, you know, he's aggressive, but he has a fair bit of finesse. When Pachito's come from a high downforce background, so when you can be incredibly aggressive with your steering input and your car.
And, you know, and last year, definitely, Ivan said that he wasn't getting the most out of the extra downforce that comes with these cars, whereas Lopez perhaps was a little more comfortable with it. Whatever it is, there's something about that combination of Lopez and the Citroen that is turning into a real world beater.